And any moment of your life when happiness tries to creep in, it lasts only for a short time, because then you feel guilty that you are betraying the one who's gone on. How can I be so happy? How dare I be so happy when they're gone? Grief. I know you've heard the statement, if I only would have. Guilt, bitterness. But guilt is necessary, because in order for you to recover, in order for a person to recover from grief, guilt must be a part of the process. But in the end, you must realize that you can't change the past. You can only make the future right. And I borrow this quotation from one of the Lowrys. Although you can't go back in time and start again, you can start today and make a new end. Oh, the perfect quote for guilt. Phase number 3 is readjustment and readaptation. This is the phase of gradual declination of grief. Bit by bit, slowly but surely, you start interjecting yourself back into the social activities around you. You start interjecting yourself back into everyday life. And although you have not overcome the tragic loss, you begin now to learn how to adapt to this new life. Sissy Thomas lost her 24-year-old son through a murder, gunshot wound. And she said this in this phase. She says, either I could be absorbed deeper into my pit of self-destruction and not be of any good to anyone, or I could try to pull myself out. I made my mind that the person who decided when, where, and how my son would die was not going to have any more power over me or my family. He was not going to destroy my shreds of life we have left. I began to focus not on how Hugh died, but then I began to focus on how he lived. This is the phase of life where we start focusing on the good times rather than the bad times. And then the final phase is this: hope and a new reality. You've changed. You've grown up now. You're still grieving, and you continue to grieve at special times of the year through remembrance. But now you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You have gone back to living, and now you are accepting the life that you have now and the hand that you have been dealt. This is how we leave guilt behind. And boy, it's a tough process. So we ask the all-important question, why, God? Why would you allow your children to suffer? I read all through the Bible. Starting in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, all the way to the book of Revelation, chapter 22, about how loving God is. About how He feels about me, His child. The omnibenevolent God, who would do anything in the world to help me. The one who created me. The one who looked at His creation and said, man, don't you know it's good? Look at the things that I've made and look at my precious prize, mankind. Oh, I love Him. It is good. It is very good. Then why, oh why, God, would you allow your creation to suffer and go through the things that it goes through from time to time? Don't you love me enough to rescue me from these things? And don't you love me enough to keep me from suffering so many pains and agony down here on earth? Please tell me why. I'm not sure if I have the answer you want or need. I'm not even sure if I have the right answer. But one thing I know, the answers that I got or that I have are good answers. Then I'm going to give you mine. I did a little looking on the internet, the books that I have at home, as to the reasons that people offer as to why God allows these things to go on. And here's what I found. Some people say that God allowed these things to happen and He allows grief to creep into our lives, number one, to make us strong. To make us stronger. Turn your Bibles to 1 Peter chapter 1, 6 through 7. 1 Peter chapter 1, 6 through 7. 1 Peter chapter 1, 6 through 7. In 1 Peter chapter 1, 6 through 7, we find these words. In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while, if need be, you have been grieved by many trials. That the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than that of gold that perishes, though it be tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So some come to the conclusion that trials, the various sufferings that we go through in this life, they purify our faith. And they make us stronger. I believe it. Then there are those who say it makes us more patient. Turn your Bibles to James chapter 5 and verse number 11. James chapter 5 and verse number 11. James says, indeed, we count them blessed who endure. You have heard of the patience and the perseverance of Job. And you have seen the end intended by the Lord, that the Lord is very compassionate and very merciful. Throughout all of the turmoil in Job's life, he became known as the man of patience. And truly, after everything Job went through, I can see why that would be the case. Then there are those who say that God allows these things to happen because it makes us more appreciative. Turn to Philippians chapter 1. Philippians chapter 1, and let's look at it. And by the way, I do agree that it makes us more patient as well. Philippians chapter 1, 3 through 8. Philippians chapter 1, verse 3 through 8. Paul was in a jail cell when he wrote this letter. Paul was in a place where no doubt a lot of grief would come. And Paul said, I thank my God upon every remembrance of you always, in every prayer of mine, making requests for you all with joy, for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now, being confident in this very thing, that he who has begun a good work in you will complete it unto the day of Jesus Christ. Just as it is right for me to think this of you, because I have you in my heart, inasmuch as both in my chains and in my defense and confirmation of the gospel, you all are partakers with me of grace. For God is my witness, how greatly I long for you in all with the affection of Jesus Christ. Paul was in a prison cell. Yet, instead of writing to these people, warning them about not coming to this place, and writing to these people, telling them not to get in the same predicament that he's in, he is writing to them, telling them that he's praying for them.